Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about international trade, part 1, chapter number 9, class 12 geography. From this chapter, first we need to know the meaning of trade. Trade means or trade refers to exchange of goods and services. So here exchange of goods and services takes place between the country and within the country also. That is called trade. Next is what is meant by international trade. International trade means when the exchange of goods and services takes place between the countries of the world, then it is called international trade. Third topic here is barter system. What is meant by barter system? So barter system, it is the oldest or the initial form of trade. So here in this trade where direct exchange of goods and services takes place. So here people are buying or people are exchanging the goods directly because they don't have any money during that time. So this is the oldest or the initial form of human trade. But in barter system we have many demerits or we have many limitations. Because of that, nowadays only few section of peoples they are practicing this type of trade in a very remote areas of the world. But nowadays most of the people are not following this barter system because we have introduced the money system. Because of that, nowadays most of people are not practicing barter system. Limitations such as lack of double coincidence of ones, and we also have problems like storage facility in barter system. Because of that, nowadays uh, this trading system is not practicing almost all the part of the world. Only few people are practicing this trading system, and that mainly in rural areas in the world. What are the basis of international trade, or why does the international trade exist? Or in symbol we can say why countries of the world they are doing trade to one another. So we have reasons for that. First reason is inequality in natural or we can say national resources. The distribution of national or natural resources among the countries of the world are totally unevenly distributed. That means natural resources in the world are totally unevenly distributed. We can say in some countries we have rich oil resources, where in some countries we have very rich metallic metallic mineral resources, where some countries have very poor oil resources. So these uneven distribution of national or natural resources occurred in the world or in countries of the world because of what? Because of we have diversity in climate. So in the world, almost all the countries of the world we have a different climatic condition. Because of that we can grow different crops in the different part of the world. We have different vegetations and we have different animals. Then the second one is mineral availability is again unevenly distributed, and that may be because of geological structure. So here the geological structure of almost all the part of the world are not same because of the tectonic plate movement. Because of the geological structure is not same most countries of the world. Because of that we have uneven distribution of mineral resources like oil, metallic and non-metallic resources are totally unevenly distributed. Therefore, because of these uneven distribution of resources in the countries of the world, therefore trade arises between them. Here means countries, as no country in the world can produce everything needed by it. So because of that, we have to trade in order to uh, fulfill the shortage minerals, and we can say shortage products in a particular countries. Because of that, international trade exists. Second factor is population factor. So in population, we have two main important factors. They are culture and size of population. If we say which determines the types and distinctiveness, or we can say distinctiveness, uniqueness. So traditionally, China is very famous for producing porcelains. So this is porcelains, and this is the image of porcelains, and this is the image of brocades. So China is traditionally, culturally, from early period till now, they are very famous for producing these types of goods, these unique goods. Because of that, um, in nowadays, most of the country they are buying brocades, and porcelains are uh, made in China, made in China. They are buying from China. Because of that, China is distinct culturally. Traditionally, they are famous for producing these types of goods. Likewise, if we say chocolate, Swiss is very famous for producing chocolates, traditionally, culturally. Likewise, Japan is very famous for producing high quality electronics. Because of that, population factor also affect the international trade. That means China is specialized in producing these types of goods. Swiss is specialized in production of chocolate, and Japan is very specialized in production. Specialization of production in Japan is what? Electronics. Because of that, international trade exists. Because of that, countries, many countries, they are buying electronics from Japan, because Japan is specialized in production of electronics, high quality electronics. Because of that, international trade exists between the countries of the world. Uh, Third factor that affect the international trade is stages of economic development. So in the world, all the countries of the world, they are not belong to same economic level of development. Some countries in the world, they belongs to underdeveloped economic conditions. Some are in developing condition, and some are in developed economic stage condition or condition. So in agriculturally important country, that means those country which are economically poor, that means underdeveloped and developing country. Most of these countries, they are doing they most of these countries people are, they are engaged with agriculture related activities. So in agriculturally important countries, agro products are exchanged for manufactured goods. So that means these countries, they are more famous for producing agriculture related products. Because of that, they are selling the agricultural product to the developed countries, and they are in return to that, they are buying manufactured goods from the developed countries, economically developed countries. Manufactured goods means manufactured goods mostly they are producing from industries. So industries means we are talking about developed country. They have industrially they are more developed as compared to developing countries. Whereas industrialized nations, so industrialized nation means developed countries. So we can say mostly European countries and some of the North American countries. They export their machineries and finished products. So here finished products means those products which are produced by machines in industries. They will export this country to developing countries, and in return to that, they will import or buy food grain um, and other raw materials from economically less developed countries of the world. Fourth one is development of transport and communication. In olden times, trade was restricted to local area only. So only in during ancient time, trade was restricted to only in local areas, because during olden times we don't have a good transport and communication system. Because of that, international trade was restricted only in the local market, and mostly they are trading commodities or trading items are of basic goods, and only rich people they are buying high valued products like jewelries from long distance routes. So that means during olden time the international trade was restricted to only local area. But nowadays, with the development of transport and communication, international trade is expanded because of what? Development in transport and communication facilities. So these are the four main factors that lead to international trade. What are the components, or what are the three aspects of international trade? So here we have in components or in aspect of international trade, we have three main components and three main aspects. They are volume of trade, composition of trade, and direction of trade. So here we are going to learn these three components or aspect of international trade one by one. First one is volume of trade. What is meant by volume of trade? Volume of trade means total value of goods and services traded between the countries of the world. Volume of trade means total value of goods and services traded between the countries of the world. So here, service traded cannot be measured in terms of tonnage. Tonnage means we cannot weigh the service traded between the countries of the world. Because of that, therefore, the total value of goods and services traded is considered to be the volume of trade. So here we need to know the value here. What is meant by value? Again, here also we have value. So whatever the goods and services traded between the countries of the world, it is calculated in terms of money. So here value means money. Here value means money. So total goods and services traded is finally calculated in terms of money. Money in terms of USA dollar. So that is volume of trade. The total volume of trade, world trade has been steadily rising in the world. So volume of trade means amount of goods and services traded between the countries of the world, and that is calculated in terms of money, converted in terms of money. That is called volume of trade. So here we have a line diagram. So this is the line diagram. So this is the value of international trade, and this is the year. So if we look at here, this particular line diagram, it is strictly rising here. That is the volume of trade. So volume of trade in 1970s, it is 2.7 trillion in USA dollar. Now, and if we look at the volume of trade in 1975, $2.2 trillion. That means if we compare 1970 to 1975, the volume of international trade increased. That means here the volume of trade means we are talking about total value of goods and services traded. It is calculated in terms of money. How many goods are traded, exported, and imported? These all are calculated in terms of money. That is called volume of international trade. So by studying the volume of trade, we can know whether there is increase in international trade or not. With the help of this volume of trade, we can understand, or we can study whether there is a change in international trade or not. Volume of trade, through volume of trade we can understand that. So volume of trade is finally calculated in terms of total value of goods and services traded in terms of money in terms of USA dollar. So dollar is the most standard one. Next one is composition of international trade. So composition of international trade means or refers to the nature or types of goods and services traded between the countries of the world. So if we look at that picture here, we have this is particular picture shows the composition of international trade. So composition of export and composition of import. That composition means in simple word we can say what type of goods and services that countries of the world are trading to one another. So if we say this is the composition of India's international trade, means what are the goods, types of goods. So composition means types of goods that India is exporting to other countries, and what are the composition of import that India is importing from other country. That is called composition of international trade. So composition of international trade means what types of goods and services are trading between the countries of the world. That is called composition of trade. What are the ingredients? So in international trade means we are trading, we are exporting different types of goods, and we are also importing different types of goods. So that is called types of international trade, or composition of international trade, or ingredients of international trade. So in composition of international trade, in uh, a large sense, the composition of international trade is divided into three: primary, secondary, and tertiary, service related. So in generally we can divide the composition of trade into three: primary products, secondary, and tertiary related. That means service related. So if we look at the composition of international trade, trade of primary product was dominated in the beginning of last century. So we can say 19th century, and in 19th century or 20th century, uh, primary the composition of international trade, most we are doing trade to one, the countries of the world are trading to one another. That means what type of product they are mostly buying and selling in the world, it means mostly primary goods products. So primary products means agriculture related raw materials they are buying from one country and they are selling to another country, one another. That is the in the last century in 20th and 19th centuries. The international trade, the composition of international trade is mostly dominated by primary products. Later on, manufactured goods, so industrial goods. Manufactured goods means those goods product which are manufactured from industries. Goods gain predominance, prominence, and so later after that there is a change in composition of the international trade. Later, most of the country dominantly they are buying and selling manufacture related goods from one country to another. Nowadays, currently means at present, service sectors, which is called, which in service sector we can say internet is a service sector, and telecommunication, bankings. Nowadays, service sector, which includes travel, transport, and other commercial services, have been showing an upward trend. So this particular composition of trade with tries to explain about the changes in composition of international trade. So in earlier, mostly most of the country they are exporting, importing primary goods. Later on, they started um, in international trade. The composition of trade has been changed. Mostly manufactured goods they are doing trade, export and import. Nowadays, they are also exporting and importing. What means uh, service related activities also they are also trading to exporting and importing from one country to another country. So this is about the composition of trade. So composition of trade means what are the types of goods, what are the ingredients of goods that a particular country is selling and buying from another country. That is called composition of international trade. So the third components or aspect of international trade is direction of trade. So direction of trade means movement, and direction of trade refers to the movement of goods and services between the countries or the regions of the world. So movement of the goods and services means, so, and this is the political map of the world. So if we look at the we talk about the international trade, what are the, which are the regions of the world which they are doing maximum international trade between Europe and North America? What type of goods and services they are trading? And in earlier, if Europe and USA they are doing maximum trade, means this direction of trade is between what means between Europe and USA. But if the direction of trade, India, USA also started trading with Asian, Southeast Asian country, means now the direction of USA's direction of trade earlier was European countries. Now the direction of USA trade is changed to Southeast Asian countries. So that is called direction of trade. So direction of trade means movement of goods and services between the regions or between the countries of the world. So if we talk about the direction of international trade, in earlier times during olden days, high value goods and artifacts, means mostly handicraft goods and jewelries, were exported from present day developing countries. So present day developing country means we are talking about mostly Asian countries. Present day developing country means we are talking about Asian countries. So in earlier days, European countries, high value goods, that means handicraft goods from these Asian countries, they are exported to European countries. Exported from present day developing countries. So European countries, in early days, European countries, they are buying high value and artifacts goods from these uh, Asian countries to European countries. So that is the direction of goods in earlier days or olden day. Was direction of trade was from Asian countries to European countries. Next, in 19th century, the direction of trade has been changed. In 19th century, European countries started exporting manufactured goods to the developing countries. So in earlier Asian countries, they are selling high value goods and handicraft goods to European countries. Direction of goods was from Asian countries to European countries. Later on, the direction of trade has been changed from European countries. They started exporting industrial goods to Asian countries. Direction of trade uh, has been reversed from no, the European country, they started selling high value goods to Asian countries. So in return to developing countries, they are importing what? In return to that, developing country, they are buying machineries, goods from European country to Asian countries. Later on, Europe. So mostly later on, Europe and USA emerged as a trading partner in the world and were leader in international. So later on, the direction of trade was changed from Southeast Asian country to European country, and earlier the direction of trade is between these two. Now the direction trade has been changed between these two countries. That is called direction of trade, change in direction of trade. After the World War II, that means 1945, developing countries like India and China, they have also started export manufacture goods to the developing countries also. So this is the history of change in direction of international trade in the world. So by studying or by learning the three components of three international trade, with help of these three components, three aspects of international trade, we can know what are the changes that are taking place in international trade. So the essence of learning the components of the aspect of international trade is in order to know, in order to understand the changes, what are the changes that are taking place in international trade. So that is the essence of learning composition of international trade. So if this pie diagram shows India's destination of export, that means India's direction of trade. So if we study the pie diagram, so this is the key. UAE is dotted one. So India's largest export trading destination is was in 2009 and 2010 means was UAE, and the second largest trading partner was USA, and third was China, then Hong Kong, then Singapore, and the rest of the world. So this particular diagram shows India's direction of trade to the world, trade. Next topic is balance of trade. Balance of trade means the differences in value. So we know what is meant by value, right? Value means here means volume of, from volume of trade we know value of trade means amount of, so the total value of goods trade is calculated in terms, total goods and services trade is calculated in terms of money in terms of USA dollar. So total value of goods, total value of trade between the differences in the value of trade between import and export are known as balance of trade. So if we look at this particular diagram, we at one side we have import, and at one side we have export. So here we are going to understand about whether the international trade is export negative, or whether the international trade is positive. So in international trade, balance of trade, we have two types. What are the two types of balance of trade? So in balance of trade we have two types: negative balance of trade, when the value of import is more than, if a particular country's import is more than export, then that is called negative balance of trade. That means country is spending more money in order to buy goods from other country. That is called, if a particular country is buying more goods and selling less goods, that is called negative balance of trade. Then next one is positive balance of trade. Positive balance of trade means the value of export, when the value of export is more than the value of import, that is called positive balance of trade. So if a particular country export more, if a particular country is doing export more and importing less goods from other country, then it is called positive balance of trade. So these are the two types of balance of trade. Types of international trade. So in international trade we have two types: bilateral trade and multilateral trade. Bi means two, lateral means agreement. So trade between two countries, it is called bilateral trade. When the trade agreement is between two countries, then it is called bilateral trade. So here if we have a diagram, so this particular picture shows trade between USA and USA and Japan. So if the trading agreement was made between USA and Japan, then it is called bilateral trade. So here the trading agreement is made between only two countries, that is called bilateral trade. Multilateral trade means multi means many, lateral means agreements. When the trading agreement is made between the number of countries, then it is called multilateral trade. So here we have the trading agreement is made between the number of countries, then it is called multilateral trade. Next topic is world. We are going to learn about a little bit about World Trade Organization. In 1948, that means after Second World War, general agreement for tariff and trade was formed. So that one, and then in short form it is called GATT, was formed. So that the GATT was a trading organization formed by some countries of the world in order to liberalize the world from high custom tariffs and various other restrictions. That means here the tariff means taxes, custom taxes. So in order to remove trade related obstacles like tariffs, then because of that some countries of the world, they have set up a trading organization that is called GATT. In 1994 it was decided, so most of the countries they have decided to set up a permanent institution for looking after the promotion of free trade among the nations. Because of that, GATT was transformed. Name of GATT was changed to World Trade Organization. From when that GATT was changed to World Trade or WTO means 1st January 1995. So nowadays WTO is located in Geneva in Switzerland. So this is the logo of WTO. So what are the roles of WTO? First one is to set the rules for the global trading system. First role of WTO is to set up the trading rules for trading system in the world. They have to make the rules for international trade. Second one is to resolve the disputes between the member country. If that and here the dispute means we are talking about trade related problems arise between the countries of the world. So the one main role of the WTO was um, and they have to resolve the problems related with trade between the member countries of the world. Third one nowadays, third one is it looks uh, trade in services also. Nowadays, WTO is also looking after service related activity trade also, such as telecommunication and banking systems also. Regional trading blocks. So in the world, we have one international trading organization, that is WTO, and we also have regional trading blocks also, regional base, regional. So regional means we can divide region, divided in, we can divide the region, make a region, we can make a region at a macro level and in at a macro level, micro level also. Macro means Asia as a one region, Africa as a one region, North America, South America, Europe as a one region. We can also make like region at a macro level. Micro level means within India we can make regions, northeastern region, North India, South India. We can also make like region at micro level also. So in the world, we have one international trading organization, that is WTO, and we also have number of regional trading organizations also. So trading bloc is the group of countries which have formal system of trading agreement, such as ASEAN, CIS, EU, NAFTA, OPEC, SAFTA. So these are the some of the uh, names of regional trading blocs in the world. NAFTA, CAFTA, EU, we can say, and SAFTA ASEAN. So these particular map shows some of the names of regional trading blocs in the world. The last topic from this chapter is we are going to learn about the seaports and harbors. Why seaports and harbors in the world are called the gateway of international trade? Why means because first one is it is act as a point of entry for international trade. It act as a point of exit for international trade. Why means in the world most of the international trade are done through seaports. So this particular image shows seaports. So almost 90% of international trade movement of goods takes place through sea route. Because of that, seaports are called gateway of international trade. It acts as a point of entry. Entry means if a cargo comes from some other country and it first enters from where means seaport. It acts as a point of exit. If particular country is exporting goods to other country means first exit point is from where means seaports. Because of that, seaports act as a point of entry and point of exit. Most of the international trade are done through seaports. So we have means of transport such as air transport, land transport, and sea and water transport. So most of the international trade are done through seaports. Because of that, seaports are called gateway of international trade. Why means seaport area is a point of entry, point of exit. Most of the international trade in the world are done through seaports, with help of seaports, and seaports are capable of handling heavy and bulky goods for international trade. Because of these reasons, seaports of the world are also called gateway of international trade. Next is seaports. What are the three main or four main facilities provided by seaport? Facilities offered by seaports means loading. So in order to load, so these are the goods, these are the loads. Loading means in order to load these type of heavy and bulky goods, we need these type of machines. So these machines are these machines are equipped at the seaports of the world. So seaports provide first one is offers facilities such as loading of these goods without these machines, unloading again without these machines, and seaports also offers facilities like storage facilities for goods for imports and exports also. So these are the three main facilities provided by seaports of the world. What are the three or facility provided by seaports of the world means loading, unloading, and storage facilities for cargo. Types of seaports. So seaports of the world are classified based on different bases, such as, so the first classification of seaport is based on what? Cargo handled. So based on cargo handled, so here the first classification is based on what means types of seaport is based on what? Cargo handled. We have industrial port. So what are the industrial ports means? These ports are specialized in industrial goods handling of specialized in handling of industrial goods or raw materials like grains, sugar, or oil, chemicals. So these ports, so those ports which are specialized in handling the raw material to industries are called industrial ports. Next is commercial ports. Those ports handle general goods or packet products or manufactured goods. So those seaports which are only handling capable for handling the manufactured goods for export and import. So these seaports are called commercial ports. So these commercial ports are also sometimes they are handling passenger traffics also. They are also handling passenger ships also. Commercial port. The third classification of seaport based on cargo handle is comprehensive ports. Comprehensive means such ports handle both industrial as well as manufactured goods. So comprehensive ports means those seaports which these seaports which have a facility which has a facility of both industrial and commercial related goods. So these ports are more comprehensive. They are capable for handling every goods cargoes. So because of that, these are called comprehensive ports. So these comprehensive ports are capable for handling both industrial as well as commercial uh, goods also. So these comprehensive ports has a facility of commercial ports as well as industrial ports. Because of that, this is called comprehensive ports. So in the world, most of the seaports are this type, are of comprehensive type of seaports. So in the world, if we say 10 seaport means most of seaports are of this category. That means comprehensive type of seaports, comprehensive seaports. Next one is seaports classified based on what? Location. So location, based on location, seaports are classified as inland port. So if a particular seaport is located inside the land, so this is inside the land, so such type of seaports are called inland port. So these ports are located away from the sea coast. They are linked with either with by sea by a river or a canal. So this is a river, or so near to river they have made a seaport. So this particular seaport is located inside the land. Because of that, this is called inland port. Example, Kolkata seaport in Hooghly and Manchester port in England. These are the examples of inland port. So next classification of seaport based on location is what? Outport. Outport means those ports which are built in sea. So this is a sea, built in sea. So these seaports are built in sea, near to coastal area. Near to coastal area means near to the coastal area means those landmass which are very close to seas. These are called coastal areas. These act as a parent port for whom means inland port. They receive ships which are larger in size. So this base, as compared to this type of ships, this type of seaports are capable for handling heavy, bigger ships as compared to inland uh, seaports. They receive ships which are larger in size and thus they are unable to dock inside the inland canals. Examples of outports such as Athens and Piraeus in Greece. So these are the two examples of outport in the world: inland port, outport. Types of ports classified based on specialized tasks or functions. So here, specialized tasks or function means a particular seaport is doing only one, capable for doing only one facility. That is called based on function. Seaports are classified as oil port. These port deals with processing, shipping of oil. Some of these ports are tanker port and some of these are refinery ports. So those seaports which are capable for handling only oil related products, then these type of seaports are called oil port. So this type of seaport, so in order to uh, uh, oil ports, these oil ports offers such as these facilities: storage facilities for oil, and refinery means we are if a crude oil is the raw material for petroleum, so in order to make in order to extract petroleum from crude oil, we have to refine it. So again, these seaports, it has a refinery facilities also. So those seaports which are handling only oil related products, then these seaports are called, they are specialized only in one task or function, that is called oil related product, that is called oil port. Next is types of seaport based on classified based on specialized tasks or function is what naval port. So those seaports are of strategic importance, and they serve only in warship. So those seaports which are made only for defense and strategic purposes. So these seaports are called naval port, like Kochi port. So entry port, the third type of classification based on specialized tasks or functions, entry port. Entry ports, these ports act as a collection center. So if a particular region, where there is most of the country, they don't have a seaport facilities, and if in that particular region if we have only one seaport means, so this particular seaport, first thing is they will collect all the export related products from these nearby region. They will collect from these regions and they will keep these product in a seaport, at the seaport, and these collected they will keep these collected goods at in that particular, seaport uh, day or 2 day or 5 days. After that they will ship these goods to other countries. So if a particular seaport is acting collection and shipping of goods to different parts of the world, then that particular seaport is called entry port. Example, Singapore. Types of seaport classified based on specialized tasks and function. Fourth one is packet station. So packet station seaports are also called ferry ports. They are also called ferry ports. They are concerned with passengers and mail across water body covering short distance. So packet station or ferry ports are these are capable for handling only small ships only. So these particular ships, they will not go on a long distance. They will cover our only short distance, uh, and they are mostly handling what means passengers. They are transporting passengers from one place to another place on a very short distance. They are not going on a very long distance, and they are covering up only short distance. They occur mostly, packet stations are occurs mean in pairs across water body. So packet station, here we have a water body, so that particular water body is called English Channel. So in between this we have a water body, uh, uh, at the side of this sea water body, we have England and we have France. So if the mostly packet stations are located on an opposite direction, one station here, one seaport here, another seaport here, so mostly they occurred in a pairs across the water body. That means located, so this seaport are located on an opposite direction. One on another side means another seaport is located on the opposite direction side. So example means Dover and Calais are the examples of packet stations. So these seaports, they are handling small ships for transporting passengers in mail only for short distance, and mostly they are located occurred in pairs across the water body. Types of seaport. Fifth one is based on uh, uh, specialized task or function is port of calls. So these ports provide facilities such as, so port of calls means these seaports provide facilities such as refueling, watering, taking food items to ship on a route to other countries. That means, so here we have 18 port. If a particular ship is going from India to North American countries means, so if ship is going like this means, if they face some problems like fuel problem, water problems, and other food related problems, so this particular ship on the route, this particular ship will call, so this particular ship is moving from India to USA. So in between, this particular ship faced some problems, water problems, fuel problem. Then this particular ship will call port of call. This particular ship will call 18 port in order to get a fuel supply, in order to get a water supply, in order to get a food related problems. So these seaports are mainly made in order to give facilities to other another's uh, these seaports are built in order to give facility to another port which are having some problems on route. On route means if a ship is going from India to USA means en route, in route, if that particular seaport ship face problem means they will call this port in order to correct that particular problem. So this is called port of call. Thank you.